After taking a summer break from their regularly scheduled meetings, the Board of Health reconvened Tuesday morning with a full agenda. The board began the meeting with new business, which included a EEE update, CBD regulation information, a report on the interface service, and Household Hazardous Waste Day.
The $5 per carload is if you have a hazardous waste, correct?
Correct.
Or is it every single car that comes through?
Just for hazardous waste.
Just for hazardous waste.
So if you're just coming in with a TV, you just pay for that TV.
TV.
If you're coming in with TV and pesticides, you're paying $5 for the pesticides and $20 for the TV.
Following the new business, the board received the nurses report and a report from Aubrey Seall of Impact Norwood. The food safety report was presented to the board along with the new food establishment list. This was a lengthy report because they did not meet during the summer months. The next meeting for the Board of Health will be October 22nd. Now that they are on their regular schedule, the Board of Selectmen have started their monthly department update meetings. Tuesday, the board met with James Collins and Daryl Hanson of Norwood Light to receive a report on their summer activity. Mark Ryan represented the DPW with a brief presentation on recycling and how costs have soared in recent years. Mr. Ryan suggests logging on to the DPW website to find out how you can help reduce, reuse, and recycle. The Board of Selectmen were also tasked with taking positions on the special town meeting articles. There was some difference of opinion when the board got to Article 4.
The property located at 289 Walpole Street is the former governor's mansion of Frank Allen, or if you will, the Senecal building. This is brought forth by a private petitioner. This is not a town article.
I think we have enough condos and apartments in Norwood. We have enough. We gotta stop. I mean, for crying out loud, we've gotta stop. And I just think this is outrageous. I honestly do. That not only are we gonna be tied to this one for condos, then if developers wanna do it on whatever number, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, that qualify under this criteria, then they can do it to others. I'm sorry, but I'm totally opposed to this.
But we do have a pretty astute and aggressive planning board whose responsibility it would be to judge the validity and the worthiness of an individual application for a specific property. I think they have to stay within the existing footprint.
To call it historical when you just have a shell there is ludicrous. Yeah. Absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it's like a movie set, for crying out loud. That's what it is. You're gonna have fancy granite kitchens and all this stuff in each of these units, et cetera, et cetera. You know?
So you don't think, I mean, but you're taking an older property, in this case, I know, but probably in others, they'll be pretty run down, and you're gonna restore them to some, you're gonna make them livable again with 2, 3, or 4 units within them. I mean,
aren't they living in it now?
To take no position. Do I have a motion to take no position?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
And if not, I was going to do it. I have a motion to take no position on Article 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
3-1. Passes.
The next Board of Selectmen meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 24th. The Zoning Board of Appeals met as well on Tuesday briefly. With only 3 modification requests, the board held limited discussion on each case and adjourned for the evening. The board will meet again on October 1st. The final meeting of Tuesday night was the first meeting of the Middle School Building Committee, which was held in the library of the Coakley Middle School. The meeting began with Alan Slater being elected as chairman. Following the vote, the committee started discussing the MSBA process.
So we are in Module 1, which is the eligibility period, which is the top of that schematic. We submitted a statement of interest. We were voted into the eligibility period. We have completed the initial compliance. This right here, the second one, is the school building committee. We have assembled members of that, and there are requirements as to what the composition of that committee needs to be. We are in the process of completing our educational profile and enrollment process. We need to certify that. Mr. Cardy is working on the maintenance and capital plan documents. Those are due the end of October. And the last one to the right is what we're going to be asking for at town meeting, which is authorization to fund a feasibility study. So should that happen, then hopefully we will be invited into The scope definition, or the next phase, the feasibility stage, which starts with the project team, starting a feasibility study, and that's where the borrowing of money comes in, schematic design. And then we get to a point, once we have that, we have an approximate cost of what the building would be, and then there would be a vote on that. And then we get into a detailed design, construction, completing the project, and the nice little green rectangle at the end is it being complete and us being able to occupy a building.
The committee went on to discuss the steps needed for a request for qualification, or the RFQ, and then discuss what is to be done with the elementary schools. The board took a vote to include an elementary school principal on the committee. The next meeting for the middle school building committee has not yet been scheduled. With 3 main cases on their agenda, the Conservation Commission met on Wednesday night. The meeting began with 2 notices of intent, one from Clear Channel Outdoors and the second from the Norwood Light Department. Both cases were briefly discussed and accepted. The 3rd case of the night also involved the Light Department. The Commission accepted the sign of Certificate of Compliance. To end the meeting, the Commission gave the Treasurer's report, the Conservation Agent's report, and the CPC Representative's report. The next meeting for the Conservation Commission will be October 2nd. The last meeting of the week was the Finance Commission Thursday night. The board voted to approve Ann Haley as the new chair and Bob Donnelly as the new vice chair. Reports were given from the school committee on department updates, and town manager Tony Mizuko gave a report on the town's roadworks. Much of the meeting was dedicated to discussing the articles for upcoming special town meeting in October. The board voted to approve all money-related articles be put forth to town meeting.